Today I want to talk about the various conspiracy theories that circulate on the internet, especially on YouTube channels. I've noticed, for example, on quite a few French YouTube channels, usually in relation to well-being or tarots and stuff like that. Sometimes you have to let your head down and listen to some, funny YouTube videos on what's going to happen in the future, what's happening, what are the vibrations at the moment of France, of the planet. So on various, in particular, French YouTube channels, I have noticed in the last few weeks a lot of conspiracy theories which basically tend to say that the departure of Donald Trump from the US presidency is a terrible mistake, and that he was such a champion, that guy, to make reforms and also focus on reality, on the truth and finding the truth and taking down people who do some terrible things to children, or etc. And Donald Trump was a fantastic guy to knock off the establishment. And I think that we need to have a reality check here, in that sense that Donald Trump was presidency was terminated by the American people when they voted. He made some allegations of fraud which were all rejected by all the courts in all the states where he made such allegations by way of litigation. Joe Biden and his team have been now elected in a way which is legal and lawful. This is the choice of the American people, and we should respect it. So all these French, YouTubers who are saying that there should have been, for example, some riots yesterday during the inauguration of Joe Biden and his team at the Capitol in Washington, I think are really out of line, and potentially fostering also some riots and some revolts all around the world, in particular in France, which is so prone, as we know, to riots and big manifestations, as we call them. And I think this is very dangerous and serious, because these YouTubers have quite a platform. They usually have tens of thousands of followers. And I think they're taking this very politicized view, which is so terribly far from the truth as well, is unacceptable. And also, enough is enough with ruling through feelings, through lies, through abnegation of facts. Let's focus on the facts. Let's focus on the fact that during his presidency, Trump has actually isolated America and taken a lot of trade reforms which were against free trade and free competition. For example, in view of all these reforms with China, he has made it very difficult for China to do business in the US. And also, for example, he's put in place some trade tariffs for luxury goods coming from Europe, in particular from France, as a retaliation because the French state has decided to tax the US social media sites such as Facebook, Twitter, Apple in France. So this attitude, which was so isolationist and against free trade, has also had some repercussions in Europe, as we've seen with the populist Tories who have basically decided to trigger this Brexit. Sadly, the UK people has decided to follow them and chosen in the two referendums that Brexit should go ahead. But this is another example of a very popular isolationist measure, which is also making trade, international trade and European trade difficult. So I think a new era is starting, which is going to be triggered in the US by Biden and Kamala Harris and their government. Biden has already said that he wanted to rejoin the Paris Agreement with respect to climate change and the protection of the environment, which is fantastic. And we need to now watch the space as to whether he and his team are going to take a more business-friendly and a trade-friendly approach to international trade, in particular with Europe. As a creative entrepreneur, who really are the people I want to interact with through these daily Crefovi daily updates, you need to bear in mind that you need to have a fruitful and constructive trade and economic and business environment around you to be able to trade, to make some deals and to get some business and to be able to sell your products, your services. Therefore, I think that right now we are going definitely in the right direction. We need to watch the space, as I said, but because also so much of the impulse of the economic policies also derive from what's happening in the US, which, let's face it, is still the basically the country that everyone around the world is looking at and is looking up to. We think. I think that fashion businesses, creative businesses, and entrepreneurs should look at this change of policy coming from the US as a positive change, and hopefully the US will come out of its isolationist policies that it had in relation to business and trade, as well as, of course, deregulating massively in the US. So what happened is that Trump was doing an enormous amount of deregulation in its country, which was also very negative for consumers. If in respect, for example, to data privacy and data protection, in respect to protecting the environment and the places where people live so that they don't get polluted by bad water and other terrible disasters triggered by US companies which are not being regulated enough and controlled enough. So I think it is a positive change for creative entrepreneurs, and I really urge you to stay away from all these, conspiracies and crazy alleged truths that the likes of QAnon or these French YouTubers are spreading through informal channels like YouTube. And best of luck for making 2021 a success. We are definitely going into the right direction. So stay tuned and bye for now.